It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you can't stop yawning. You are so tired, you can hardly drag yourself to the kitchen to make your third coffee of the day. And you could kill for a slice of chocolate cake. Why do I want something sweet every day at exactly this time? You wonder while the coffee brews. And why am I so exhausted that I could fall asleep right here, standing up? Well, it happens to most people. And most people think it's normal, just part of life. Well, it isn't. This is a signal that your brain is not getting the energy it needs. Your brain cells might actually be starving. And that's mad, because if there's one thing we have plenty of, it's food. That's where the energy comes from in the first place. And an energy-starved brain is not good news if you want to prevent Alzheimer's. Come on, Zita, I hear you say. You're telling me the afternoon cake, that little pleasure of my life, causes Alzheimer's? Well, yes and no. The link isn't that straightforward. And no, I'm not here to take that pleasure away from you. But it's worth digging a bit deeper than this. Because, believe it or not, that afternoon crash is connected to your brain health, or the lack of it. So, what are we actually trying to prevent? In Alzheimer's, the brain develops holes. By the end of the disease, it looks like sea sponge. Well, not exactly a nice way of putting it, but honestly, there's nothing nice about this disease. Those holes are dead neurons. But how do those holes form? To understand this, imagine a money factory. Workers inside are running constantly, producing money. To do all this, they need raw material. So several times a day, there is a knock on the door and the truck brings the raw material. The truck driver knocks on the factory door, it opens, he dumps the raw material and the workers produce energy normally. But if there's too much raw material, the workers swim in it. They haven't even finished the previous batch, and there's the knock again and again. Now the workers get confused, trying to manage all the stuff, but there are more and more deliveries coming. After some time, the workers get tired of the banging of the door and even become deaf. The driver has to do something with the raw material, so he dumps it into the river. So, in this analogy, the factory is the brain cell. The workers are your mitochondria, the little powerhouses in your cells. The money they make is called ATP. That's the energy your brain spends on functioning, keeping you alive, moving you, having you think and speak, all that. And the raw material is glucose. The thing that food you have eaten is broken down into. The driver is insulin. And the river, that's your bloodstream. And the excess raw material in the river, that's the elevated blood sugar. That's the starting point of many chronic diseases. Diabetes first. And in the long run, possibly Alzheimer's. This is a metabolic mess and an energy crisis at the same time. And research now points to Alzheimer's as exactly this, an energy crisis in the brain. You can actually see this if you know someone with Alzheimer's. Their energy doesn't behave normally. Sometimes you are so wired you can't keep up with them. Other times they sit in a chair and can't summon the energy to walk to the bathroom. That's a brain whose factories are flickering, some running, some dark, some failing entirely. And the food you eat is directly connected to whether your factories flicker or hum. Clean food, rich in nutrients, steady deliveries. Calm walkers, stable energy. But ultra-processed food, sugar, refined carbs, chaos at the door, deaf workers, glucose dumped into the river, day after day, year after year. And the cells starve. Then they die of hunger. One dead cell, no problem. But more dead cells, well, a small hole is forming, but life is still okay. But millions of dead cells in your brain, and then you forget how to make a simple scrambled egg. This process is subtle. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts in your 40s, moving quietly through your 50s and 60s. And those symptoms, the tiredness, the brain fog, the afternoon cravings, are warnings, your brain trying to talk to you. They are early signals that your power stations are running low on fuel. The good news is this process is not inevitable. Once you get to know it, you can prevent it to happen. Okay, Zita, now I know, I hear you say. But what shall I do? Well, nothing dramatic to start with. Let's see 3 small and simple things. The first one is stop snacking. Every time you eat, especially if it's chocolate, donut, or something sweet or something high in carbs, so every time you snack, the truck driver starts up and knocks on the cell door. And every single knock makes the cells a little bit more deaf. So leave 4 to 5 hours between meals. Give your mitochondria a break. Let them work. Let them produce the energy quietly. Don't drown them into raw material. The second tip is walk after you eat. Move your body. Almost nobody talks about this, and it's one of the most powerful tools you have. A 10-minute walk after a meal significantly reduces blood sugar spike. Why? Because your muscles are hungry for glucose. When you move, they pull it straight out of your bloodstream and burn it for fuel. Less sugar in the river, less cows at the factory. You don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. You need your 2 legs and the biggest muscle in your body to grab the excess glucose, your thighs. And the third tip is eat protein with every meal. Well, carbs and sugar are so delicious, they are addictive. Pasta, rice, and all that. But they produce so much glucose that every time you eat them, the truck driver is about to pour them into the factory when the workers are already swimming in it. So he pours it into the river, your bloodstream, instead. That's what happens when you eat fast food, cakes, and carbs in general. But it doesn't happen when you eat protein, dairy, chicken breast, fish, vegetables. These keep your energy level nice and steady, no crash. And what does all this have to do with dementia, you ask? And that's a very valid question. Well, Alzheimer's is, in many ways, an energy crisis in the brain. Research increasingly suggests that. When brain cells become insulin resistant, meaning insulin, the truck driver, can no longer get glucose into the cells because the cells have stopped responding, that's when we have a real problem, especially if that goes on for decades. Low brain energy means slow thinking, brain fog, poor concentration. And when the brain struggles for energy decade after decade, that's where Alzheimer's may start to take hold. And a huge part of that is driven by food. Your everyday food choices matter much more than you think. So let's recap. Your brain's energy depends on the raw material it gets. And that makes your food choices one of the most important things for your brain health. So, stop snacking. Walk for 10 minutes after you eat. Build your meals around protein. Do these 3 things every day, and you have already done a lot to keep your brain healthy and prevent this monster called dementia. If you want the full picture, the research, the mechanisms, the whole practical guide, I've put it all in my book, How Not to Get Dementia. Link is in the description. If this was useful, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!